If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What's up, Bombshells? Welcome to Bombshell 1111 Podcast, Therapy for Women of Color. My name is Kia, and I'm your host. Generally, podcasts request donations, but I want you to show love by simply subscribing to my social media platforms by visiting my website at www.bombshell1111podcast.com. I want to see thousands of subscribers on this platform. Leave your comments and I'll show love by shouting you out on my social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. I want to thank you for your continued support as always. And with that being said, let's jump into this new episode.
Hello everyone, my name is Terraine from Behind the Shades, here to drop some bombs with Bombshell 1111.
Welcome back, Bombshells. My name is Kia, and I'm your host. Tonight, you guys, will be talking about self-improvement with our very special guest, Terraine. So let's jump right in, Bombshells. Welcome, Terraine. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast. I know we had to reschedule a few times, but again, things happen in divine timing and when it's supposed to. And I'm very grateful that you were patient with me. And again, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here. I know that you mentioned that we had to reschedule, but you know what? When two people want to come together and align their perspectives, nothing can stop it.
This is true. Thank you so much for that. So, Terraine, for the individuals who haven't had an opportunity to read the description down below, can you give a short intro on who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Absolutely. So my name is Terraine. I am a podcaster, just like my lovely host right now, Kia, and I'm from Behind the Shades. I'm currently in Toronto, Canada. For those who love Drake, we are from the same hometown, everyone. I think I'm a little bit better looking than him, but hey, who knows? And I'm just here to spread good energy, positive energy, and hopefully help people find their voice along their journey.
Well, thank you again and welcome. So, Terraine, you talk about and you focus on personal growth, self-improvement, and becoming the best version of yourself. What led you to have an interest in self-improvement just in general?
Well, I was raised by my grandmother, so I didn't know my parents growing up. And that put me in a situation to become better because many children who grow up just in a single parent household, the stats will show that they're not as successful generally as those who come from two parents. So without my mother and my father, I just wanted to be the best person that I can be. So that started my journey. And from there, it took me into the church with many people from a Caribbean background knows the church is life. God is good all the time. And then from there, I was able to use my education as well as my experience and my training to help people along the way, because if my grandmother wasn't there for me, maybe I wouldn't be the man that I am today. So I want to be that nurturing figure for those who may need a voice along their path.
I agree. Totally agree. In your opinion, why is personal growth and self-improvement vital tools in one's self-development?
I think it could be a source of happiness. I think it could be vital in the way that when you look in the mirror, you feel a sense of accomplishment. many men, I would say, and many women, um, may feel lost. It doesn't matter where you live, what city you're from, or how you grew up in the last 2 years to 3 years. It's been difficult for each and every one of us, and many of us may feel that we've lost our purpose because many things have been taken away, or there's things that we have taken for granted that we no longer can participate in. So being the best person that you can be, to me, is like when you buy that new outfit. For the ladies out there, when you buy that beautiful pairs of pants and you do that Instagram pose with the leg behind you and your arm to your side, slimming everything. To the men out there, when you go to the gym and you've just hit a new personal record and all of a sudden no shirt can fit you because you feel so good about yourself.
Mm,
That's what personal growth is to me, and I want everyone to experience those two feelings.
mm. And just in your opinion, and in your own personal journey with working on your personal growth and self-improvement, what are some techniques or what are some tips or tools that you use to help you get to where you are now?
Well, for me, I'm big on numbers. So what I try to do is I try to look at stats and I try to make sure that I stay educated as possible. And I love to read, but from a grassroots perspective, I tell myself that I'm important. I tell myself I love you almost every day. I do my daily affirmations. Another tool that I use is I try to surround myself with people who are uplifting. I find, at least for me, growing up, I found I kept a lot of people who were negative and who were energy vampires, as they say,
Mm,
just because they were cool.
mm,
It's loyalty, right? I grew up with this person, and
mm,
you have that success guilt. And by success guilt, I mean that as you become more successful, you find that you're leaving people behind, but you don't want to be that person that is a sellout, quote unquote, or forgot where they came from. But sometimes you have to make sure that you're putting yourself first. And mental health is important because if you can't appreciate yourself, if you can't tell yourself you love you, then how can you expect it from other people? So that's the type of path that I take when it comes to the tools that I use along my way.
mm. And you know that's very similar to some of the things that I use as well. I've always said that I used affirmations, but just most recently, within the past few months, I've really began to use the affirmations. It's one thing with saying, yeah, I do my affirmations daily, but when you get an understanding of how to properly use your affirmations and then you start seeing things manifest um, in what you are affirming, then you kind of have a better understanding of what affirmations are. So yeah, I definitely, when you said affirmations, I was just like, oh, ding, 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 because that's definitely something that I am working on heavily now. Um, Learning about the law of assumption, because what you assume pretty much becomes your reality. So many things that you're saying, and so many other of the things that I'm currently embarking on and learning. So I totally agree with that, and it's a part of self-improvement, and that's kind of what geared me to learning more about those things, was because of my own personal growth that I'm working on, and self-improvement. So yeah, that's something we have very much in common and similar. Do you seek out to help others to make improvements with their life by using those tools, or even just with your podcast?
I do. So right now I'm actually I'm training as a coach. So what I do is I learn different techniques to help people along the way. And I'll tell people, one thing that I learned, and I was kind of hesitant to read this book, but I loved it. And I think it's like almost everywhere now, is the five love languages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I can hear how much you love that book right now, Kia. So when I picked up that book, I was in Bali, I was in Indonesia on vacation, and I read that book and I was reading it, and it helped me to understand how people accept love in different ways. Like, I'm the type of person where affirmation is big for me, like words of encouragement. So that's mine, love language. But some people may be gift giving.
Mm-hmm.
So it put me in a situation, or acts of service. So it put me in a situation to want to learn the specifics of people instead of painting everyone with a general brush. Meaning that if I have a circle of 10 friends and we're all hanging out, we all like the same things. But that is not necessarily true. So to fully answer your question, I'd had to understand the basic nature and needs of each person I interacted with, and to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I was catering to that, because it's all about, when you're helping people, it's all about them and less of you.
Yes. Yes. Agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. Um, with my job that I do during the daytime, it focuses on mental health and social work. And when you're helping, when I'm helping my clients, I say the same thing. It's all about them. I mean, I'm walking alongside of you, but this is your goal. This is your plan. Like this is what you foresee to, you know, help you reach your goal, to help you become self-sufficient. So I agree with that totally, 100%. So let's move on to talk about behind the shades, because we've talked about that a little bit throughout the podcast episode tonight, but I really want to spend some time to focus on that, so the listening audience can also get an understanding of what behind the shades is. Because again, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, you also do podcasting as well, and your podcast focuses on personal growth, self-improvement, and how to become a better version of yourself, as we've stated. So, Terraine, can you talk about behind the shades, how you got started with that, pretty much your mission, your vision for it, and just explain to the audience what it entails?
Absolutely. So Behind the Shades is my podcast, and similar to here, we're just here to help people in our own way. So I started this as an opportunity to do that. I wanted to share the stories of people that maybe felt they didn't have a voice to do so. So when I started this in 2020, like everyone else, we just thought that we can do anything in 2020 when this all hit, because we had so much more time. Some people took up painting, some people
Mm-hmm.
learned how to swim. I took up boxing. I learned how to jump rope for the first time in 2020. So, there's things that maybe I was like reliving my childhood. Not that I'm old enough to go through a midlife crisis, but hey, some may call it that. But I just wanted to do something that was always a part of my life. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to fulfill my dream. In 2020, when I started this, I actually had this idea in 2018, but
Yeah.
I wanted to involve my friends, or certain
Mm-hmm.
friends, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, and I quickly realized that your dream is not necessarily the dream of others.
No.
And many people from whom I've interviewed have lost their dreams because they waited on someone else. I didn't want that for me. So
Yeah.
I started it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know about you, Kia. I'm not rich from it,
No.
but
By
I'm
far.
rich. Exactly, but I'm rich in a different way, because if I didn't do this, Kia and I probably would have never met. We're in two different parts of the country, of the world.
Right. Right.
Um, there's people that I can say they're actually my friends because of this. Like podcasting, and Kia, you probably know this. It's made the world so much smaller, because here we are. I'm speaking to people in Australia, in India, in
Mm-hmm.
the United States, in Europe. These days, some of us haven't even left our city in 2 to 3 years. But
Wow.
you can listen to my episode, her episode, and you could connect with people. You think you're special. There's
Mm-hmm.
people across the world who are just like you. They want to be loved just like everyone
Mm-hmm.
else. They want happiness like everyone else. They're making money like everyone else. It just shows how we're both doing is very important, and that's what behind the shades means to me. It is a place where people can feel safe and special.
Wow. And it's so ironic and so crazy. And I told you I think everything happens in divine timing. A couple years ago, I had a small business. It was called Behind the Scenes, and it was geared towards helping people within the community and things like that, which is why I love the name Behind the Shades. And it's so ironic that you say what you just said about the past couple of years, because initially that's why I started my podcast, was because of, everything happening, COVID, us being, quarantined within the home, not having many things to do outside of the home because of that. So trying to find something of an interest. And this is something that I always wanted to do, like you said, and I love people, love talking to people, and wanting to talk about something that I'm really knowledgeable about. So mental health, social work, that's just my thing. That's what I do. And it's so crazy that you say that, because that's exactly how I feel as a podcaster as well, because I've built some relationships with people that I've never met in person, only through podcasting, and have maintained those friendships just over these past few years, and done projects together in addition to them coming on and interviewing on my podcast. So you are absolutely correct. And I also gained a mentor from just doing my podcast. So yeah, I totally agree. And I think for me as well, like you said, Terraine, it's more so, I know one day, eventually I'll get there with the monetary, but for me, it's more so rewarding, because I know that there is someone listening that could utilize the message that we're giving, and it's going to be beneficial to them. And then not only that, like you said, we're networking with people all over the world, and you don't have to always affect thousands of people. It could be just that one person to make a difference. So I totally agree with everything you just said. Everything.
It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yes. And then, that's why I said, and that in due time, you'll get those sponsorships. You'll get those things to kind of help you grow. And you never know, interviewing someone that may be, your stepping stone there. You never know what networking can also cause to happen for you in the future as well. So I agree. So Terraine, is there anything that we missed that you think we should talk about, or you want to share with the listening audience before we close out for this episode?
Yes, I want to say to everyone listening, you have a passion. Follow it. Don't let anything prevent you from becoming the person that you want to be. Share your gift. I think everyone has 1 to 2 gifts that they are blessed with, and they should share. You look around where you live, someone has built a house, someone has built a building, and we take it for granted now, but think about the work that goes into that. Think about the work that goes into keeping a road. Someone has built a city. We have paintings. We're sending people to outer space. We're doing so many things that are just amazing. You can view the world in the palm of your hand through the phone. There's people who have shared so much of themselves, so many of their gifts. To everyone listening, do yourself a favor. Tell yourself you love yourself, and go out there and live your life passionately, because you don't know when the journey is going to end. So if you can make it a thrilling ride, if you can go out there and skydive, if you can climb the highest mountain. I remember doing that in Bali. I'll share this with you. I remember we climbed a mountain, and we made it to the top of the mountain as soon as the sun was rising. Just imagine that view. As soon as you hit the top, you are climbing as the sun is rising, and it's a race to beat the sun to the top.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful experience, and I want everyone to have a life filled with experiences like that.
Oh wow. Thank you so much for that, Terraine. And Terraine, for the listening audience, for those who want to check your podcast out and come on and get some knowledge and tools and resources on improving improving their lives, self-improvement, personal growth, and just becoming a better version of their self, where can they check you out? What's your social media platforms?
Absolutely. So you can check me out on anchor.fm/behind the shades. Also, you can check me out on Facebook. I am on facebook.com/behind the shades FB. And that's the two locations where I am. And you can see every episode, audio and video on those two platforms.
Thank you so much, Terraine, and thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kia. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to look forward to doing this again with you.
Oh, thank you, and I'm so appreciative. And you guys, that brings us to the end of this podcast episode. Thanks to Terraine for joining us, and thanks to you guys for listening. We hope you were able to hear something that was beneficial to you. And with that being said, you guys, always remember, you are a bomb within your own shell. Peace, love, and light, you guys. Good night. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some valuable information that can help you on your personal journey. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bombshell 1111 or at Bombshell 1111 TV. You can also check out our mental health page, Your Health is Your Wealth, on Facebook, which is a page created to inform and support individuals with mental health and other health conditions. And with that being said, always remember, you guys, you are a bomb within your own shell. And until next time, peace, love, and light.